In the final one-third of Part 7, Nietzsche gives his thoughts on women. I think this section breaks up the flow of the book, and it is an unfortunate mix of ranting, self-revelation, score-settling, and psychological observation. I think these sections could be skipped with relatively little loss. Following is my summary of what I found noteworthy in these parts. In section 231, Nietzsche begins by noting that there is something unteachable deep in each of us, and this includes our beliefs about men and women. We can only rediscover periodically how it is with us, what some people might call our convictions. Nietzsche says he will allow himself now to state some truths about women, but emphasizing that these are only his truths. This is a very personal revelation. A sampling of what follows then, Nietzsche says women want to be self-reliant, but this is very bad for European culture. Truth, he says, is alien and repugnant to woman, who is all about appearances. When dealing with issues of profundity or justice, woman despises woman. And emancipated women like George Sand are not examples of female emancipation, but comical figures, more of a counter-argument against emancipation, he says. He gives in section 237 a brief epigram about a woman wearing a black dress and keeping a silent part. I think this is a covert dig at Lou Salome, with whom he had already broken by this point. He says to dream of sexual equality, of finally solving the sexual problem between men and women, is a sign of weakness, of shallowness in the instincts, and anyone who goes wrong here on this issue is not to be trusted on other questions. Nietzsche recommends the Oriental attitude toward women, to treat them as property or as possessions. I think at this point in the section he is being as obnoxious and offensive as possible, perhaps knowing that this work will be read by Lou Salome. The final section of Book 7 is section 239. It's a long section and has some worthwhile insights and ideas in it. Nietzsche notes that the democratic spirit of modern Europe has increased men's respect for women, which women have immediately begun to abuse. They find it insulting and condescending. Women, he says, thereby lose their modesty, their sense of taste, and they begin to unlearn their fear of men, which is, he says, a loss of their womanly instincts. When men decline in fear-inspiring virtue, and that certainly is the case with modern man, women degenerate along with them. A quote from section 239, "Wherever the industrial spirit has triumphed over the military and aristocratic spirit, woman now aspires to the economic and legal self-reliance of a clerk." Since the French Revolution, Nietzsche says, women's influence over European culture has declined as their rights and claims have increased. And this emancipation of women, he says, is the result of or contains a stupidity, an almost masculine stupidity, he says. This defeminization of women, which he denounces, involves the surrender of the strongest ground on which to contend with men and their strongest weapons in that conflict. He writes, "To be sure, there are enough imbecilic friends and corrupters of woman among the scholarly asses of the male sex who advise woman to defeminize herself in this way and to imitate all the stupidities which man in Europe, European manliness, is sick." He goes on to suggest that women and piety are closely connected, that a woman without piety would seem obnoxious and ridiculous to a profound and godless man. It seems that even atheist men would like their women to be believers. There seems to be some connection in Nietzsche's mind here. The purpose of women, Nietzsche says, is to give birth to strong children. Again, I think he's being as deliberately and explicitly offensive as possible. Culture in women, he says, leads to a weakness of the will. It divides their strength of will. And he compares modern women unfavorably to Napoleon's mother, who he thinks exercised this feminine will to power most effectively. Woman's greatest asset with regard to men, Nietzsche says, is her nature, which is different from men's nature and inspires men's respect and fear and perhaps a bit of awe. He speaks then at the conclusion of this section of the slowly dawning borification of modern woman. Woman is becoming boring. She is becoming more like man, and since modern European man is degenerate and weak, she is coming to share in all of those vices. This brings us to the end of Part 7 of Beyond Good and Evil. We'll look at Part 8 next. Thanks for watching today. Goodbye.